Hello everyone, welcome to Jennifer Sewing and Creativity. If it's your first time joining my channel, welcome. If you are joining from a previous video on my channel or you're a previous subscriber, welcome back. I haven't filmed in quite a while. I am just getting over a case of pneumonia and I've been coughing a lot and I just couldn't do any filming. So I've been posting videos that I had filmed previously, and thank God I had those videos so I could share with you guys. In the last video, it should be up before this one, I went over everything on the HD screen of the Pfaff Creative 4.0. Excuse me. Hopefully I'll get through this video excuse me, without a lot of coughing. So if I do have to pause the video to get a drink, excuse me. Hopefully I won't have to do that. So we're going to try. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it. So today what we're going to do is we are going to go over the sewing mode of the Pfaff Creative 4.0. And in the sewing mode, you can select your stitches, you can adjust them, then sew them. You can also go to your stitch creator and to sequencing to create your own stitches and sequences. And I will get into, the further we get into the sewing mode, I will be doing some videos on those. Those will be each a video of their own because there's so much to them. Then your selected stitch will show in full scale in the stitch field, and that is this area here. And it will also show you the recommendations, and the machine settings will be shown on the top. So your sewing recommendations is this little area right here. And in your machine settings, we'll get to that section in just a moment. So for your sewing recommendations, what that is it is the recommended foot for whatever stitch you are in. And then this little icon right here, I thought this was for, that it told you whether your feed dogs were up and down. But actually what that is that it is your IDT. And what IDT is let me turn to that so I can tell it to you a little bit better. Your IDT is the integrated dual feed system that is on the Pfaff Creative machines, and it's an integrated dual feed system. It's on industrial machines. The IDT feeds the fabric from the top and the bottom at the same time, so your material is fed precisely through the sewing foot. And it's really good for light fabrics such as rayons or silks. And the dual feed system also prevents puckering of seams. So it will tell you whether to have your IDT engaged. So that's what that icon is. And it's located back right behind the sewing foot bar. And I showed that in one of the previous videos. I can go over that again in another video if you'd like to see that a little bit more. It's really easy. So that's what that icon is there. So also, it will show you your settings right here in this area. So you would go to your settings, and if you have like your twin needle set or you have your dynamic spring foot set, it'll show you there. And let me show you. So, whoops, let me go back to that. So if you have your twin needle on, let's just pick a random, close that. It will show you that you have your twin needle, and that's what that little icon is there. Let me go back and shut that off. So off. So that will show you whether you have anything adjusted in your settings. It'll be in this little section here. It will also show you, so this is for your quilting, and it's going to show you your dynamic spring foot 6D free motion setting, your spring foot free motion setting, or your Sensormatic free motion setting. So I'm going to just hit that, and what it does is it brings you this little icon up, and that tells you whether you have your spring foot 6D free motion setting activated. And we'll get into the spring foot further a little bit later when we get into the quilting and the free motion area of quilting. It is also used for, you can use it with your embroidery, and what you can do is you can hit this and it will tell you, so your dynamic spring foot free motion is a spring foot free motion, feed dogs lower automatically. You use the dynamic spring foot 6D. The foot raises and lowers with each stitch. So that's good for your free motion quilting, of course, and it also for embroidery. So there's that. Anything on your screen, if you notice the little thing I just did there, so I'm going to turn that off and close that. So say you have a question. You don't know what an option on the screen is, and you're questioning it. You can't find it in the manual. I did go over this in the previous video when I went over everything on the HD screen, but it's a good thing to know it here as well. So say I'm going to hit the question, and I want to know what this little file is. So I hit that, and it brings up and it tells you what that does. So that button, it folds out different saved options where you can save your stitches or sequences. So it just kind of tells you what anything on the screen is. So that's what that was. And I just dropped my little stylus. Okay. Okay, so again, we had our sewing recommendations here. Then our machine settings will be in that area. So you would go to your settings, set anything you needed to. Then you're going to have your stitch selection area here. You're going to have your scroll bar right here, and you can either hit the arrows to scroll through them, or you can hit and drag it. So that's for your scroll bar. Then you're going to have your selected stitch number, which is right here. It'll tell you what your number is. So this will be your submenu 1. Then you have also it'll be 1.1.5. So this will be just the basic stitches, or your I'm not sure if they called it utility stitches, and then your stitch number. Okay. Then you're going to have your stitch field, which is this area here, and it's going to change with whatever stitch you have on there. And then you're going to have your mirror side by side, and then you're going to have your mirroring end to end. And I'm not quite sure how those work yet. Once we get further into the sewing mode, I will more than likely do a video over that. I have not done a lot of actual sewing with this machine yet. I mainly have been doing the embroidery so far. So once we get into that a little bit more, I will go over that. Okay, so then we have it does not show it until you hit this. And that was for your sequencing, but again, it did not show it So when we get into that a little bit more, I will go over the sequencing. I don't quite understand it yet, so I'm going to have to kind of read through the manual on how to understand that part. Okay, so then you're going to have your width and your position toggle. So that's what this little inner button right here is. So that's that. So you can have your width, and then you can have your position. So the position, I'm not sure. Okay, see, okay, I see what it's doing. Interesting. Okay, so what I did is I moved it. I watched the stitch. I'm going to go back to this and watch. You can see how it's moving to the left and the right. Okay, so that's interesting to know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that option was on here. That's really good to know, that if you want to move your needle to the left or the right, if you're going to be doing like a straight stitch, but you want to move it over a bit, so that's what that option is there. And then it has your width, so you can set your width of your stitch, and 6 is the max on this, and then you can shrink it up to real short. Okay, so there's that. And so you have your, that will do your stitch width. Then your stitch length is this one right here. And stitch density. We don't have the stitch density set yet. Let me change to button foot. Okay, so you'll select a button stitch and your stitch density will come up. Whoops, sorry about that. Your stitch density option right here will come up to however you want your button foot, your buttonhole stitches done. I've never done sewing buttons before, so I'm not really familiar with this a lot. I do not sew a lot of garments, but I can do a video. I keep dropping my stylus. Sorry about that. I can do a video on buttonholes later. I'm not, like I said, I don't do garments, but if anybody would like to see that, please comment down below, and I could do a video on how to use the buttonholes. And this machine comes with a very fancy buttonhole maker. And you plug this in, and I have no idea how to use this, but we can get into that later if you guys are interested in that. So I'll put that away. And that just stores in the back of the sewing table. I have the embroidery unit attached to the machine right now. So, okay. So when you are on your buttonholes, it will have this little icon right here, which is your repeat buttonhole. Okay. And then the stitch positioning, it doesn't have it on here, but it will have another little icon that will pop up, and then it'll have your buttonhole stitch length and your buttonhole stitch repetition. And I do not have those on, and I believe what you have to do is you have to have that sewing foot plugged in for those to even come up. But okay, so there's those. So that was this was the stitch density right there, and it just, okay, so there's that. Let's go back to here. And then you have your save options, and this little folder right here, if you hit the folder, you'll have some more little sub menus pop up, And this one is to save your personal default stitch. You'll save your personal menu and to save to a personal file. And I believe in the next video we'll be going over that. So you just toggle that to turn it back off. And then this next one is your tie off options. You can tie off at the beginning. You can tie off at the end. Hitting a both will tie off at the beginning, tie off at the end. And these are really good, especially if you are doing maybe quilt as you go, or doing some quilted blocks that you need to have the threads tied off if they're going to be sitting for a while before you get to them to assemble your quilt, to tie off your threads so they don't come undone. So there's that. I really like this option. I've never had a machine that had this before, so I really like this. I won't have to like back my stitches up because it'll be programmed for that. And then this one is your thread snips. So there's those. I always have my thread snips on because I hate cutting threads, so I have it automatically on. So there's that. And you can also go into your settings and you can turn the thread snips on or off. You can do your automatic presser foot lift, or you can cut your jump stitches when you are doing your embroidery. So there's always that option too if you don't use the this particular tie off one. Okay. So then you have your speed control, which is this one. And you'll have that little separate window that pops up there. And you can just kind of move it to the side with your toggle or with your stylus. Or you can just kind of touch it where you want to go. In the embroidery mode, you can, if you notice these little hash marks here, like here and here, in some of the embroidery that I've been doing, you're able to kind of like go between half speeds. So that way you can like even increase it, decrease it, or increase it more. I'm not sure why it doesn't have it on this one, on the actual sewing. Okay, so there's that one. And then you have your sewing programs, and that's what okay, so that's what this one is. And your sewing programs will be, let me kind of forward a little bit. Your sewing programs are, I'm not quite sure what that all covers. Okay, so it's going to cover your tapering program, your single stitch program, your patchwork program. It'll show you your preview field, and you can set the number of stitch repetitions into a single stitch program. So I will do a whole video on that because it's kind of going to be in depth going into that. So there's that. And then you will also have a balance, and it's going to have down here, and I'm not sure how to do that. Again, that will be a, let me see if I can find that. Okay, balance. What balance is when sewing on special fabrics or doing a special technique such as buttonholes, the balance may be needed to be adjusted. So you're going to start by sewing a stitch on a piece of scrap fabric. Touch the balance icon on the option bar to open the balance window. Then you can balance the stitch using your plus and negative icons. You can use the pan icon. And let's see, to see the whole stitch, you can change the picture on the screen to match your sewn sample. And when you sew again, the balance will be corrected. So I guess that's, it shows that that's for buttonholes. So I think when I do a button video, if we do a buttonhole video, we can go over that. Like I said, I don't do a lot of garments, so I probably will never use the buttonholes. But if you would like to see a video on how to use the buttonhole foot and things like that, just comment down below and I can work on that. I'll have to kind of try doing it off camera so I can kind of get the hang of it a little bit first, but I can definitely do a video on that. So so that is basically it on your sewing mode and the overview. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so we did the select a stitch screen. On the sewing recommendations, when I showed you up here, that was your presser foot recommendation, your IDT, and then I did not show you this little part. So this little icon right here that looks like a piece of paper with a corner folded over. What that is that if you are on a certain stitch, and so this one's a really tight zigzag, that will tell you whether or not a stabilizer is recommended for that stitch. And I think that's a really cool option. I've never had a machine that's done that. Then again, it was going to show your stitch settings. So we went to the stitch settings, and it will do your set for stitch with safety, and that's this here. And what's your stitch with safety? I'm going to hit this, and then I'm going to hit this. And your stitch with safety is you activate this when using a straight stitch needle plate or a straight stitch presser foot to lock the needle to center position to prevent damage to the needle presser foot or the needle plate. So I have that set, and it will do your single needle. You can see that little icon right there. I will go back to the settings and I will turn that off. And then I'm going to turn your twin needle option on, and we're just going to hit that, and I'm going to close that. And then when you have your twin needle set, it will show that you have your twin needles right there. Okay. And let's go back and let's go back and turn that one off. I've never in my 5 sewing machines I have now, I have never sewn with a twin needle. So that might be something in the future that I could do a video on also, if you guys are interested in that. It's really kind of freaked me out a little bit. I don't know why, but the idea of doing that kind of makes me nervous. Okay, and then you will have the settings for your Sensormatic free motion. And I do not have a Sensormatic free motion foot, and that is what this one is here. And it's also where your dynamic spring foot 6D for embroidery. You will hit that to turn that on, and that'll show you so let's try. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so that went right there. That shows you the spring foot. There's that one, and there's this one, and there is for your, so this model's a little bit different. I just found that out. Okay, so that's for your Sensormatic free motion. So that's what that is there. Okay, but see how it brought up your Sensormatic free motion foot, and then we can go back, and I am going to hit our question, and we're going to go over that. And your spring foot, or the 6D for spring foot 6D for embroidery, you're going to select that option when using dynamic spring foot 6D for embroidery. You deselect it when using another embroidery foot such as 6A, and 6A is this little guy right here. And this is, God, my nails look horrible. Sorry. 6A is what came with the machine, and this is what you use for embroidery. I did post a video of me doing a little embroidery, and I posted it to a embroidery group, that machine embroidery group that I belong to on Facebook. And one lady, I can't believe your embroidery turned out as good as it is because you're using the wrong kind of foot. You're not using the spring foot. You're not using an embroidery foot. Well, I had to take a picture of the manual and show her that this is what the embroidery foot for this particular machine looks like. And she just could not believe that that's what the embroidery foot looked like for this machine. Okay, so there's that. Okay, and I think that is it for this video. I'm not going to show you how to raise and lower your presser foot. You pretty much all know how to do that already. This machine does come with the pivot where you can, what that does is that the needle stops in the down position and the presser foot raises to to the pivot height. Excuse me. And what that does is that if you're quilting or anything like that and you need to adjust your fabric, there are ways to go into your settings so you can do your foot pedal, and that you can do all that. Okay. What did I do? I got to turn that option off. There we go. Okay. I couldn't figure out why this icon was still saying that it was on. Okay. Okay, so I think we're done for today. If there are any questions or if you have any comments, please do so down below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. That lets me know that you really, that you're appreciating these videos. I do have a whole series on my Brother SE625 machine. And for those of you that all subscribed and commented on those videos, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So again, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Please give the video a thumbs up. And in our next video, we're going to go over the options bar a little bit more, how to save your options, save your personal default stitches. You can save to your personal menu, and a little bit more into that. So please stay tuned for that video, and thank you so much for sticking with me today, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.